Thank you again, Mr. Chairman and members. I've also carried this bill in many sessions. I think it's important that we have a discussion about it each time. We've come a long way, and so I do appreciate the opportunity to have this bill heard. There were some sessions where we didn't even get a hearing. So, and I think as public opinion continues to change, and now that since '05, since we have the availability of life without parole, I think those are let me just move on, and I'll touch upon these things. As I was mentioning, so we, in '05, we enacted the life without possibility of parole as a sentencing option in capital cases. And since that time, Texas has seen a declining trend in death sentences. Jurors actually condemned only 3 individuals to death in each of the last 2 years, and this is the lowest number of death penalty assignments since 1976. And there are many reasons why citizens and legislative bodies, as Representative Dutton was speaking of earlier, have doubts with regard to the need for capital punishment. 12 individuals here in Texas have been released from death row based on evidence of their wrongful conviction. Those 12 were fortunate that the state's mistakes were uncovered before they lost their lives. Not every innocent person who's falsely placed on death row is this lucky. The criminal justice system and the capital punishment process rely on human endeavors. Even the best intentioned and well-qualified people can make mistakes. With the reality of the situation being what it is, we cannot allow the continuance of a process where the ultimate outcome could yet be another loss of an innocent person. In addition to the mistakes that can be made in the process of convicting an individual, the way in which executions are carried out are also susceptible to error. We've all seen these botched executions, and they result in excruciatingly cruel, unusual, and inhumane experiences for those involved. And I've also been out to both the death row in Huntsville, where the men are at, and in Gatesville, where women are. Met and spoke with some of those folks, and met and spoke with some of the staff, and their processes for how they go about dealing with the employees go about dealing with it, and it's hard on them. It's very difficult. Some of the stories I heard were. They were very touching, and some of them have quit that and gone on to do other things to make up for what they thought their role was in this. And I'm not wasn't that they doubted their innocence or guilt. It was that what they had to do. Another thing that worries me so much about this is the arbitrariness of it. So if the crime was committed in a rural county, who doesn't have the money to prosecute a capital offense, the outcome that death penalty won't be sought. However, if you're in Harris County, there is the funds to be able to go after those cases, and so no justice system should be so arbitrary. And it's also arbitrary in the way that I guess Racehorse Haynes was the one who said, the more money you got, the more justice you get. And so if you are dealing with a court-appointed attorney, it's going to be very different than someone who could hire Racehorse Haynes or such folks. And the other thing is that capital punishment doesn't seem to contribute much to deter crime. People under the grip of rage or panic or under the influence of alcohol or drugs don't take a second to think about their possible execution in the future. And those who suffer from mental illnesses are likely unable to understand the full gravity of their actions and often don't understand these consequences. And as I was mentioning earlier, they're not capital punishment trials are not as cost effective as life imprisonment cases. And in some ways, I sometimes think about someone who would have to spend the rest of their lives in jail. It might be preferable to some folks to end it instead of staying there the rest of their lives. But several studies conducted across the country found that the sheer time and resources that capital punishment cases require, the American taxpayers, it costs them millions upon millions more dollars than do cases of those that are serving out life terms in prison. Trials in which prosecutors seek capital punishment require qualified death penalty attorneys, a longer and more complicated jury selection process, more pre- and post-trial filings by both sides because you've got to make sure you got it right, and an extensive appeals process after the death sentence has been handed down. And for cases that don't reach the point of execution, the cost of lethal injection drugs has increased 1,500% in recent years. Several individuals who have direct experience with the capital punishment system are going to talk to you today about why this expensive system is broken. It doesn't always protect the innocent and doesn't always punish the guilty. I thank you so much for your time and consideration. I know this is a difficult and emotional theme, and I just appreciate everyone, as Mr. Dutton said, who came to speak on either side of the issue because it's important that we continue to have this discussion. Thank you all. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Representative. Do we have any questions at this time? Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to begin calling witnesses.